solid waste management units, and one area of concern, as outlined in the fact sheet and presented in the draft renewal corrective action permit. If approved, the current draft renewal corrective action permit would become final. In accordance with Chapter 14, Article 4, Section 10.1, 1402 of the Virginia Code, a notice of this hearing and the opportunity for public comment was published in the Roanoke Times and the Southwest Times on Tuesday, December 22nd, 2015. Radio advertisement of the hearing was made on WVRU 89.9 FM and on WVRW 105.3 FM in Radford, Virginia on Tuesday, December 22nd, 2015. This notice was also published in the Virginia Regulatory Town Hall on December 22nd, 2015. The public comment period will extend through Friday, February 26th, 2016. During this period, DEQ will be accepting comments on the proposed draft renewal corrective action permit. During this hearing, public comments are encouraged on the technical merits of the draft permit. In order to be recognized to speak on this project, you must sign the official register located by the door. I invite anyone who wishes to speak at this hearing but has not yet registered to sign the official register. I would now like to review the procedures for the hearing. You will be called to come forward and speak one person at a time and in the order that's written on the official register for this public hearing. If there are any elected or appointed officials, you will be invited to speak first. Please speak slowly and clearly so your comments can be accurately and completely recorded into the official record of this hearing. We will be using a digital recorder and also have a court recorder for this hearing. All comments are to be delivered to me. This is a hearing. I am here to listen. You are requested to give your full name, mailing address, and who you represent, if applicable, prior to making your comments. This will provide the department with the information needed to provide you with a written response to your verbal comments. Please limit your comment period to a maximum of 3 minutes in order to ensure that all who are present and desire to speak will be allowed an opportunity to do so. If your comment has been covered by a previous commenter, it is appropriate to simply state that you agree with the previous commenter. Comments on the draft permit that are made after the hearing today must be in writing, be addressed to Ashby Scott, Department of Environmental Quality, Office of Financial Responsibility and Waste Programs, P.O. Box 1105, Richmond, Virginia 23218, and received before 11:59 p.m. on February 26, 2016. Mr. Scott is the permit writer for this project. At this time, he is the person who is designated as the department's contact for this project. Mr. Scott, would you please stand up and be recognized? Thank you. Questions presented during this public hearing will not be answered tonight. Mr. Scott will respond to technical questions presented at this hearing, which are specific to this project, in writing. These types of questions typically require additional evaluation of the draft renewal corrective action permit to ensure that no details are missed and to consider all the relevant issues. After this hearing, Mr. Scott will respond to questions regarding the administrative procedures involved with issuing a permit, time schedules, and processing activities presented at this hearing, which are specific to this project, in writing. After the comment period, the Director of DEQ will consider all verbal comments from the hearing and written comments received during the public comment period. He will then determine if the draft renewal corrective action permit is to be issued to the Radford Army Ammunition Plant Facility as proposed. Mr. Scott, would you please bring the official register? Thank you. The official register indicates that there are 6 individuals who wish to speak on the record at this time.
There's someone else coming. She's on their way.
If there is anyone present that has not signed the register and wishes to have his or her comments entered into the official record, please come forward to sign the register at this time.
I'm speaking on behalf of Diana Popoff. She will be here. She will arrive and make comments into the official registry. She's been in communication with me.
All right. Denise Ford. Can you begin?
I probably shouldn't take the time. Mine doesn't address what you have written. I just wanted to, I was just wondering after everything I've seen, and I've lived here for a long time, why the EPA and DEQ have not enforced the Clean Water, Clean Air Act involving the companies that are involved over at the arsenal. Why those companies have been allowed to operate with impunity. That's all.
Thank you. All right. Gregory Nelson.
I'd like to speak on behalf of community members that aren't here, that are organized through our Facebook page, Clean New River Valley, and then Environmental Patriots, which has over 900 people. We question the official comments that were made in the WVTF report that EPA and plant officials say that they have no evidence of pollution migrating to the surrounding community. And further, the comments that Mr. Scott gave on January 27, 2016, that actually nothing is escaping the site itself. Quote, what we're seeing is levels are going down, the controls are actually working. It's protecting human health and safety. These claims cannot be made because there are no reproducible off-site empirical scientific studies, ambient air quality monitoring, community well testing, and community soil testing, as the site was delisted from the Superfund in 2000. It was removed from the Superfund. Again, data must be shared with the public prior to making this administrative record with this permit, and due to the fact that no data exists about the monitoring in the community, these ideas that are being proposed in the corrective action permit are preposterous. The notion that the community is being adequately informed with regards to this hearing and permit motion is preposterous due to the fact that no outside expertise can be brought to this, and that we've continually requested for an extension of the public comment period. Therefore, we must adopt a prudent and wise action with regards to this permit renewal, and that should include the bringing in of outside expertise who have no stake in the continuing of war-making production within the region. We should have adequate air quality monitoring to ensure that deposition and soil monitoring at Solid Waste Management Unit 13, which is being proposed for closure, should continue due to the fact that it's in the open burning ground hazardous waste risk assessment, human health risk assessment, showing that Solid Waste Management 13 is still receiving contamination for operations at the open burning ground. Given my 45 seconds left, we question the officials on the ability of the EPA to hand off authority of this facility, which is a US Army facility, to the Department of Environmental Quality. This is preposterous given that this is a federally owned military facility with a UK multinational arms dealer, VAE, poisoning a multi-state area through the dumping and releasing of toxic inventory, which is continuing to depose toxins at these sites and in the surrounding community. The people here are being treated as if they're in the Appalachian sacrifice zone, similar to what we see in Hanford, Washington, regarding other facilities of this nature. This is a non-nuclear facility, but we must be prudent with what we determine with regards to not including evolution of scientific knowledge in how this permit is being adjudicated, excluding medical expertise in these hearings, and excluding the participation of toxicologists, epidemiologists, and other people when there are hundreds of people in the community that have suffered from this facility and its continued operation.
Thank you. Muriel Russell.
First, I'd like to say that I agree with everything Greg Nelson said, and I would like to ask for an extension of 60 days for public comment. I downloaded the fact sheet from the DEQ website, and I did not find it very helpful. I heard that this permit would be about things such as oversight of the arsenal changing from the EPA to the DEQ. I didn't see anything about that on this fact sheet. It just had some information and was not very helpful, so I would like to ask for that extension for public comment.
Thank you. Alan Moore.
Speak at podium. I also wanted to repeat the call for an extension of another 60 days for the period of public comment. The agencies involved have failed to reasonably respond to requests for public data. There's a long chronology of FOIA requests going back to 2014. Officials, we really implore you to identify a point of contact to remove those obstacles to share information freely with the public. I hope we can do that. Got data from the New River Health District that's very alarming due to the thousands of pounds of lead being burned at the arsenal every year. And public officials like yourself, Mr. Scott, make statements declaring that the arsenal is safe, and it's difficult to believe that when there aren't studies that the public has seen that confirm that. For example, in all of the New River Valley, we have no lead. This measures lead in children 0 to 15, and it's mandatory required by the local health department for kids who are on government programs. So it affects kids in marginalized communities like around the arsenal. In Floyd County, 0 kids have lead in their blood. Giles County, 0. Pulaski County, 0. Montgomery, 7. And in Radford zip codes, which include the communities downwind from the arsenal, 45.9. Connections like these need to be explored and explained before we can make broad comments like that. Officials have failed to address repeated public concerns about the proposed corrective action, which discontinues soil sampling at Solid Waste Management Unit 13, which directly receives fallout from the open burning ground. And the arsenal has also failed to respond to the multimedia inspection from 2011 and 2014, which found multiple violations in regards to Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act, Emergency Planning, Community Right to Know Act, and Toxic Release Inventory Reporting. If DEQ is unable to enforce the law in these situations, then it cannot continue to renew permits. With so many important issues left unaddressed, officials have created an atmosphere of mistrust in the community. And since I have a little time, also alarming is the cancer incident rates, which are no longer available on the cancer.gov website, but both for 2006 to 2009 and through 2012, showing alarmingly high rates focused on the New River Valley. Also, just the fact that such a large volume of pollutants is being produced at the factory, not only are we top at toxic releases in the state, we're also in the nation in the 98th percentile in release of carcinogens, 95th percentile in release of mutagens, which alter DNA, and 92nd percentile in teratogens, which deforms embryos. This is from the EPA's own toxic release inventory of 2014. So with concerns like these in the community, we really need to do a better job of connecting the dots, and it shouldn't be the responsibility of community members like myself. That's why government employees have nice jobs. They should be doing this for us. We're willing to collaborate. We have a lot of support in the community, just it's difficult getting our voices expressed in limited forum like this. For example, at our last meeting, we meet here at the library, we were told because the library closes at 8 that we have to leave the room, when in fact, the people who arranged the meeting were informed by the librarian, as everyone who reserves a room here, that this room is open as long as we need it, as long as we clear the bathrooms and clear the area when we're left and lock the room behind us. So hopefully in the future, we won't be restricting public comment, and we can have some very valuable community dialogue in these meetings.
Thank you. Phyllis? Thank you.
Thank you. And I too would like to ask that we, since this is a government project, that we extend the public comment period for 60 more days. I think that's very important. This is such a crucial issue in our area. And again, I'm really concerned. I was shocked when I learned, is it true that the responsibility for overseeing our Radford Arsenal, which is in Montgomery County, we know, is it being given to the Virginia, why it isn't being given, the National Environment Protection Agency, since it is a national Army program, why it isn't overseeing this, and it's being given to the State Department of Environmental Quality, when, as I understand it, and I could be wrong and I'd love to be corrected, the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality is unable to regulate a federal project. That's a very important question to me. Why should we be given it to state if it can't oversee? And I still think, since it's a federal, my federal tax dollars are paying for the arsenal, that it should be overseen by a federal environmental protection, or the National Environmental Protection Agency. And my other question, and I've wondered about it for a long time, so I'm glad I could ask it, is why are we, it's my Army, it's my tax dollars, contracting with a British firm? I just think that that's very interesting, and I'd love to know how they got the contract. I know they're all over the world, they have a wonderful quote-unquote reputation, but I want to know why a British firm is involved with something that does affect our air and our water and our citizens. Thanks.
Thank you. Don
Langgraf.
Langer?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to thank DEQ for giving us the opportunity to make comment on this permit. Obviously, it's getting a lot of attention because we're dealing with a facility that's the largest polluter of toxins in the state of Virginia, and that's why we're getting this kind of turnout and this kind of concern. And it's good for us to be able to have some input in it. Regarding the permit for corrective action, I think at the minimum, I urge you to have ongoing soil sampling, particularly at the sites where the open burning occurs. And we're dealing with hundreds of tons of toxic material, and that permit should be paying attention to where that material is being burned. So I would appreciate it if you take that into account. Also, I'd like to see that permit at least make mention of the alternative methods of burning this toxic material, since we do have an example in Louisiana where similar materials are being burned in a more controlled fashion rather than openly burning them on the banks of a river that's really an important water source for the region. And with that said, I think it probably would be a good idea, as information does get out about this permit, that the comment period be extended for at least another 60 days. That's it.
Thank you. Samantha Lawyer?
I was unsure. I would just like to add that I would like to please request an extension to the public comment period for 60 days.
I have something I'd like to add.
I'm sorry, you've already commented.
Well, I want to know why the DOD is superseding EPA regulations on RCRA subpart X and allowing open burning to continue. After Gina McCarthy has told us in a hearing on September 17th, 2016, before the House Oversight Committee that DOD has recommended open burning, while the US EPA since the 1990s has said no more open burning.
I apologize, you've already had 3 minutes.
Well, that was my first thing.
Would anybody else like to come up and speak? All right. I hereby declare that this meeting is adjourned as of this time, 7:27 p.m., Wednesday, February 10th, 2016.
She has something to say.
Just a minute. You know, I know with the formality, if we had our 3 minutes, then that's all we get, but that's so everyone has a turn. If it's only 25 minutes into the meeting and someone wanted to say something else, even though he spoke before, let's let him talk. Why not?
I've studied this my entire life. I've lived next to it and you won't let me speak. I live half a mile northeast of the facility.
I apologize.
We have an hour for the meeting.
This meeting is adjourned as of 7:27 p.m., Wednesday, February 10th, 2016. Thank you for coming.
Wow.